Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Getting In, a College Coach Conversation. We got a great show lined up for everyone today. We're excited to have you here. And I think we should just get right into it because there's this awkward thing where on the audio medium, you can only hear me, but on the visual medium, we post these on Facebook, you can see the guests just sitting here. So we have Elise Krantz, who is sitting and looking at me and saying, all right, when's this introduction going to be over? Elise, hey, how's it going?
I'm great, Ian. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just going to acknowledge that you're here really quickly. We're going to talk about the AP Capstone program here in this first segment. In our second segment today, we're going to talk a little bit about the college list and the ideal size of the college list. And then we'll also talk about how you can attack those final college costs in our finance segment here at the end of our show today. But we wanted to start with the Capstone program, which is kind of ironic because the Capstone program is an end point of a high school career typically, but we're kicking off our show with it. And Elise, you have done a not insignificant amount of research to identify sort of the ins and outs of the AP Capstone program and how students can take advantage of it as a part of their high school curriculum. So maybe you can just help to reacquaint me with the program and to introduce our listeners if they have not heard of AP Capstone before, help them understand a little bit about what it is exactly.
Right. So the reason this came up in the first place was because a lot of folks on the team, we have some experience with the IB curriculum, right? The International Baccalaureate, and we have a lot of familiarity with AP exams. But a few years ago, there was sort of this new arrival on the scene within the AP world called AP Capstone. And it's comprised of two classes, AP Seminar, which is usually taken in 10th or 11th grades, and then followed sometimes by AP Research. And that's usually taken the year right after, so in 11th or 12th. And then if you take both of these, theoretically, and you do well on the exams, you can get something that's called the AP Capstone Diploma.
Now, the diploma also includes qualifying scores, I think, for other AP classes as well, right? So you have to, I think, have 4 other scores of 3 or better in AP English or AP Calc or any other of the more traditional AP classes alongside research and seminar, right?
Exactly. So it's more than just a one and done, take a class and you've earned this diploma. You have to have essentially 6 AP classes minimum, including AP Seminar and AP Research with the qualifying scores to get the so-called diploma.
To get the diploma. And this, for those who are unfamiliar with IB, there are 6 classes in an IB diploma, plus a theory of knowledge and an extended essay. They usually span 2 years. And if you complete those to a satisfactory level with your scores, then you get the IB diploma. So for a lot of us who were familiar with IB, this felt like a very similar kind of structure to that program. What are some of the differences? I guess, what are some differences? I'm going to table the comment that I had there for a second, but what are some of the differences between what you see with the AP Capstone program and the IB program?
Well, I think one of the big differences on my end is that because AP Seminar and Research classes are so new, not all high schools have necessarily the staff trained to deal with these classes. And colleges don't always know how to interpret them. I feel like IB is so well known, so understood, but on the AP side, nobody's quite sure if these classes are worth it, or if they are worth it, are colleges viewing them as such? So I think I can't speak as much to the content of the classes. I never personally sat in these classes, but at least from that side of it, I think it can be a little hard to know exactly what to do with these classes.
Right. IB has been around for so long, and it's been a curriculum that's used all over the world. And so there's something about it that admission officers just kind of know. You're really dialed into that content, even though they have made some changes recently. With AP Capstone, it is so new, and it feels like it's because it's so rarely available at high schools. It's not something that I think people have had to be particularly familiar with. And from my perspective, Elise, the fact that it's not a widely available program suggests that there is something about that content that's really specialized, right? You have to be trained in order to do the AP Sem and do the AP Research class there is an expectation that teachers have a certain content knowledge in order to be able to teach that. They're not just throwing it into the curriculum pool and saying, hey, go ahead and take this class. So I think that is good, but it also means that a lot of students probably have not encountered it, even at their AP focused schools. Is this something that students should be worried about if their high school offers AP classes but doesn't offer AP Capstone? Should parents be clamoring for this to be added into their curriculum?
I think the way that most colleges would view the AP Capstone in that sense is it's a bonus, it's an add-on, it's a great not extracurricular, it's a great elective, let's say, within the AP track. So it's not designed to replace, in most circumstances, it's not designed to replace, let's say, your AP English class, let's say, right? You shouldn't not take an AP history or an AP language class because you're now all of a sudden pursuing the capstone diploma. Yeah. It is meant to be in addition to those classes. And I think it can offer some nice values in terms of what it's teaching students. I find when I did look into the curriculum a little bit for the AP seminar, a lot of it is about learning how to be a good consumer of information. So looking at different sources, learning how to analyze them, thinking about the same content, but from different perspectives. So it's not a straight up English class, but there are some colleges who actually do consider AP seminar as an English class. But I do think of it more as an add-on instead of a replacement.
Yeah, and I wonder if that is because it's so reading intensive. It can be very writing intensive. And so the skill sets that you're using in AP Seminar are really similar to English, even though an English literature course is going to be much more focused on a particular kind of reading and writing and literary analysis. I think that's really interesting. But your point about a replacement, I think, makes a lot of sense. This is a way of almost investigating areas of interest in greater detail, exploring more fully, but it's not something that should come in and displace the more traditional core academic classes that we would expect students to have.
And it can be great too for a student who has a real passion or an interest in a particular area that they would like to study, because the second part of the diploma, the research class, does culminate in a big research paper that then has to be presented. So it's up to the student to think about, well, what would I like to present on? What would I like to research? So for students who have a real love of learning and would like the idea of diving deep, who are very self-directed and would like to be able to have a chance to write a big paper about this could be a nice opportunity that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in an traditional AP class that is so structured with the curriculum.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. There is something about AP that feels very rigid. And this AP Capstone program feels a lot more flexible, where there's a lot more opportunity for students to potentially explore. The other thing that I really did like about it is whether you're thinking about the IB or challenging AP classes, there's often a barrier associated with the prerequisite courses that you have to have taken in order to get into that position. And what's cool is that for the schools that offer this AP Capstone program, AP Seminar actually has no prerequisites that I could see, at least on the AP website. Now, schools might have their own individual rules about this, but I like the idea that a student who maybe has never done an AP class before, but is interested in that level of rigor and inquiry, might feel a little bit more confident stepping into AP Seminar in 10th or 11th grade than AP Chemistry or, AP US History or something along those lines. So there is something that's kind of welcoming about AP Seminar as a standalone class.
And the skills that a student will get in this class, unlike a very traditional AP class that is so focused on just one discipline, the types of research skills you're getting, the writing skills, the critical analysis, those will carry into any subject. And especially at the college level, when you're doing a real term paper for the first time, usually those skills can come in handy. So from that standpoint too, it could be a standalone sort of, you're just focusing on those classes if you're not doing a lot of other APs.
And we get lots of questions. We get questions all the time from students about, should I take this class, right? Or what should my curriculum look like? And that's such a hard question to answer because there's so much context that is wrapped up into that conversation. What classes did you take last year? How did you do in them? What are the other classes you're taking next year? What's your plan for your senior year? However it sort of lays out. With respect to just these classes, AP Sem, AP Research, and the whole Capstone program, are there students that you think are better positioned to be able to benefit from this class than other students might be? How do students self-select into the program?
So I think for students who are already maxing out on their APs and are taking 5 or 6 APs a year, Capstone is probably not for you. Okay. You have your course, your plate is full already. Yeah. For students who are looking for college credit, I would not necessarily recommend AP Capstone either, because there are a lot of colleges out there that are not awarding credit for these particular classes. And if you're looking for an easy AP because you've never taken one, I would say this may not be the best choice for you either, because there is a lot of work involved. But for a student who does like to learn, who's curious, who enjoys writing, this could be a nice option to add into their curriculum.
Maybe there's a sort of a scenario where you have felt like you've had some struggles with other course areas, and you're not feeling as confident in that space. And this could be something where you can show a college, I can handle rigorous inquiry, but it's in a context where I might feel a little bit more comfortable, where I'm not boxed in by the expectations of biology or history, but I get a little bit more room to grow. That doesn't mean that this is a totally open-ended, wide open program, of course, but I think that there is something to that exploration. It's really interesting the way that you laid that out, because I've got these 4 bullet points that are on the College Board website that says participating in AP Capstone can help students. And the first thing they say is stand out to colleges in the application process. And it sounds like what you're saying, and what I would tend to agree with, is that maybe that's not quite accurate, especially not yet, as Capstone is so rare and is still kind of figuring out what it's going to be. What do you think about that?
So if, for colleges that aren't awarding credit for Capstone, and we can talk about some colleges that do and some that don't, I think seeing the words on the transcript, AP Research, AP Seminar, I do think that will stand out, because it's not a traditional class. So from that very basic standpoint, it's not your regular English class. It is a little different, but I think it's then going to be up to the student to then take it a step further and either explain, whether it's in an essay, whether it's on the additional information section of the common application, to say, here's what I did in this class, here's what I took out of it. So I think there's room to help you stand out, but it's not automatically going to sort of signal to colleges, look at me, I'm taking the toughest classes available at my high school. It's an interesting piece. It's an interesting component, I would say.
So you're agreeing with the idea that this could help students stand out insofar as it may be rare, but maybe not like a standout as like a positive, like this will benefit your application significantly if you make this choice. And I really do appreciate what you were saying about those students who've already got a stacked curriculum of APs. Adding this on top of that probably is not a value add for the overall curriculum, especially given the time you're already devoting to your other courses.
Right. I think it's still it's not a negative. So, you saying, is it going to be the huge positive that the College Board says it is? Not necessarily, but it's not a negative. So, students shouldn't avoid this class thinking, it's never going to help me. I think there's a lot of positives that can come out of it, but it's not going to be automatic.
I think that's right. I think you're right. So then the next 2 bullet points, which I think it sounds like we're more inclined to agree with, are that AP Capstone will develop key academic skills that students will use in college and beyond. You already basically said that in even more eloquent language. And then helping students to become self-confident, independent thinkers and problem solvers, which I think is another potential byproduct of the program, of course, dependent on the teaching structure of the class. But then the last bullet is you can earn college credit. Many colleges offer credit for qualifying scores. And you've already been like, hold on a second, let's not get ahead of ourselves in terms of what credit may be awarded by AP Capstone.
Right. So for those students who are familiar already with AP credits, one of the easiest ways to find out if colleges award credit for your particular AP score, you go onto the college's website, you look up their AP credit policy. Some schools it's a 3 and higher, others it's a 4 or a 5. But when I was researching for who gives credit for seminar and research, it was a really mixed bag. More colleges will give credit to AP seminar than they will to AP research. That was interesting. Okay. And then there was sort of like an equal number of schools that were saying, yes, we will accept this credit, and those that are saying we won't even acknowledge it. And it wasn't even just the more selective versus less selective, it was across the board. So just some examples, like MIT and Penn State and the University of California system, they will accept seminar and research as credits if you get the right score. But for Boston University, Case Western, University of Maryland, Northwestern, like they won't. So it's sort of, you can also search for this on the College Board website. And there's a list of high schools that offer the AP seminar and research classes, as well as colleges that will accept these credits.
Right. And there are none. I was looking at that list earlier today. There are none in Portland that offer AP seminar or research. There are some in the other parts of the state, only I think 6 in all of Oregon. And so it's not something that is widely available yet, and not something I think that you should be clamoring to add to your program if you're a student. And I also think, Elise, we could do a whole segment on this, but the idea of college credit as being something that you're really striving for in high school, it doesn't always confer, I think, the kind of value that we hope that it will, even if we get it from a school. And I'm thinking in terms of helping us to get out of prerequisite courses that we might have to take, or satisfying credits that we need to graduate, or helping us to graduate early so that we can save some money on tuition. It doesn't always pan out in the way that we hope that it will. So mostly it sounds like today, if your school offers AP Capstone, it's really about the content of the class and the experience of the class would be the reason that you would choose to take it, as opposed to these external benefits for admission or for credit. At least the jury's out on that. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, and also the teacher, right? Because if it's one of your favorite teachers, or if it's a beloved teacher at the school and you've never had a chance to take a class with them, this could be a great chance to try something new, push yourself a little bit, get prepared for college, and enjoy the experience.
So as always, the answer is it depends.
It depends.
It depends on all these circumstances. Elise, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show today and talking us through AP Capstone.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right, folks, when we come back, we will talk about how many colleges should be on your list and when you know you have too many. So don't go away.